Let the vengeance begin!
Howdy, howdy. Civil here, and welcome to an online ladder battle with the Dawi featuring Brachysira. Submitted to me very recently. It's on the new patch, and it's a great little fight. Now, Brachysira has submitted battles before, so if you saw his 2v2, he likes to try and bring a 20 stack of Dawi, which I think is a awesome idea. Like, the Dawi have lots of good units. Why not try to fill that out? And he's done it again here. I'll just put it into slow-mo. So, first of all, he's got two gyrocopters with brimstone guns. He's facing up against Bretonnia. Got a solid front line. Longbeards with great weapons. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. They have that bonus versus infantry. And another group of Longbeards for the Longbeards with great weapons for that main front line. For his ranged, he's got a unit of Rangers, a unit of Uthar's Raiders, and of course they have that marked by Uthar, which reduces missile resistance and armor, and another group of Rangers. In the back line, in the middle, he has 5 groups of Miners, so obviously this is very inexpensive. We know Miners aren't the greatest unit in the world, but they can tar pit, and they will do that. And the very back line, he's got 2 units of Bolt Throwers, again covered up by Miners. He also has 2 units of Slayers. Slayers are very, very good value. Just in the middle to basically let the Miners tar pit and let the Slayers go to work. And for his leadership, he has a Rune Lord on foot and 2 units, 2 Runesmiths. And so the Rune Lord has the Master Rune of Wrath and Rune, and the Runesmiths just have the Rune of Wrath and Rune. Now for the Bretonnian army, and the Bretonnian army still has more, even though they don't have a full 20 stack. They have 1,017 versus the Dawi's 915. They have 5 units of Foot Squires. Now that's really going to be their main armor-piercing infantry. The Foot Squires did get a buff in the last patch. It has 2 units of men-at-arms out front just to take up missile fire, I'm sure. Probably should have brought some with the shields, but whatever. Men-at-arms are very inexpensive. He could have even brought peasants to do what these guys are going to do. For his leadership, has the Fey Enchantress, which is really the on-meta pick, and she has Chalice of Potions, which is a definite a bomb, and Favor of the Fae, plus 44 melee attack. Arcane Conduit for the improved magic. Dwellers Below, which, I mean, the Dawi are resistant to magic, but it will cause it'll cause some damage. And here's the big ones: Regrowth, which is replenishes the hit points of combatants and gives 22% physical resistance. A very nice spell. And Earthblood, which I think are the 2 main ones you're going to see. For the heals, Mist of the Lady, which is changed. Now she has to be in melee to give this aura of -5 melee attack and causing damage to multiple combatants, kind of like a Mortis Engine. Life Bloom, so every time she casts a spell, it heals everyone map-wide. And Blessing of the Lady for the 20% physical resistance. And of course she does cause fear and has 60% magical resistance, 15% missile resistance, and that, 20% physical resistance. In the back line, they have 3 peasant bowmen with fire arrows. So I'm not sure what the idea was with the fire arrows, because I don't think they have anything that makes Dawi weak to fire. They have this regiment around, the Wardens of Montfort, mounted yeoman archers, and a regular group of mounted yeoman archers. They are very fast, but they don't do a whole lot of damage. And on this side, he has 2 units of questing knights. Of course, they are armor piercing and anti-infantry. They have a decent charge bonus, and they should be very good against the Dawi. So without further ado, we're going to get this going. So right away, Brachysira just wants to put pressure on these guys, maybe get some shots in the Foot Squires, and they're pushing back, and he's trying to push over his other mounted units. He's taking some shots at the gyrocopters. Now, these peasant bowmen don't have a lot of armor piercing damage. I think 3. So they're not going to do a ton of damage, but over time they'll get some in. But Brachysira is just using to get shots where he can and keep the pressure on, and he will have very soon, he'll be in range of his, there we go, of his bolt throwers. Now, his bolt throwers will take some shots at these men-at-arms, which is just fine, taking a few shots early just to get something going. And now his opponent is just trying to push him off this way, get this gyrocopter going, but Brachysira has done something nice. He's kind of separated his gyrocopters. He's taking them to different angles, so it's hard to get. And I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he bring in the Fey Enchantress. He maybe want to get some early damage against the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, but these Uthar's Raiders, look at that damage. These guys do absolutely crazy damage. And see that Fey Enchantress? Yeah, she's getting the heck out of dodge. So again, Brachysira is going to come. He's going to try and get some bomb runs. I think he's already got a bomb run off of that. Get his bombs off early, so they're all in use. Still got a ton of damage in before the lines have even engaged. The Fey Enchantress has had to retreat. We got a Rune of Wrath and Ruin on these questing knights. Really, these questing knights here are the threat. So we want to make sure we push them off. And he's got both bolt throwers on them and his archers and both of his gyrocopters on this one unit of questing knights, and you look at how fast they're taking damage. They're already routing, but they're down to 27 models. He just wants to get them off the field, make sure they keep going, and now he's changing his targets to these other questing knights to start shooting them up, because they can do a lot of damage to our troops, and you can see these guys are continuing to take damage. On this side, you can see these peasant bowmen have taken shots into the Uthar's Raiders, and the Uthar's Raiders have just got beaten up. Now they get a bit caught out, and you can see they just don't have good enough defense because they don't have shields, so they got to get out of here. And you see he's pushing them back, and these Slayers have moved in because they were taking shots from the mounted yeoman archers. So now he's going to break off, send some miners after him. Now these miners he really doesn't care about. Like, you know, if these guys are on skirmish, he'll just send them after these mounted yeoman archers all day. They can take all the shots they want, but you can see the peasant bowmen keep pushing forward to try and get into the Uthar's Raiders, and they rout them, but it looks like he forgets them now. So these peasant bowmen are all going to come into the front line here, and we've got the paladin in here against the miners, and they're just being tar pitted. He's still got his rangers he's got his rangers online, and now they're going to start shooting up against these peasant bowmen. And these bolt throwers can shoot up against over here these Wardens of Montfort and just keep pushing them out. And you know, the Slayers are still in reserve. They're just fine. They're in full reserve. Everything is going okay here. Now we know that Longbeards will lose to Foot Squires, but they're doing a good job holding things up here. And now he's refocused to try and take out these peasant bowmen. He can take them out pretty quickly. He just wants to get rid of them, get them off the field, get them routing, pushed out. So here in comes the Chalice of Potions against the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. That is going to do some damage, and that Paladin is going to be doing some work in there too. And of course he is encouraging the other troops around him. So this Paladin is going to take out the miners, or, you know, do pretty good. But now he's just pushing in these miners into the front just to tar pit these guys. Fey Enchantress is up here. Everything here is well protected. The gyrocopters are now just going to go over and help over here. They've taken out the questing knights on this side. We still have our Slayers in reserve. We still have our Uthar's Raiders we've kept back. Leadership is still in very, very good shape, and now everything's starting to get pushed off this way. The Bretonnia still has a good group in the front. You got this Paladin, you know, half-health Paladin and Fey Enchantress, but now the Fey Enchantress is going to start taking some damage from these Rangers. And she has some physical resistance, but, you know, that's going to just whittle away. And in come these Uthar's Raiders. Now they can come back in, and they can start shooting at the Fey Enchantress now. Let's see, boys. Oh, they're going to shoot at this Paladin. Nice. They just do so much damage if you can just get them onto something. They're just incredible. But the Dwarf Dawi leadership has not needed to get involved here. This front line is held for the most part. You can see these miners are just going to kind of trying to push off anyone who's out here. And now these guys have been pushed off. I believe he's going to change direction with his gyrocopters and bring them back into the battle. This whole backline pocket, like everything in the back line, is still fine. It's completely safe. All the leadership and the Slayers and the bolt throwers are in perfect health. Now this has been quite atrocious up here, but that's just fine. Really, everything else back here is like it's a whole second line of defense, and we've got even a group of miners that have rallied up here. He's just going to shoot into the Fey Enchantress, and there she breaks. So, interesting battle. Love it. And you know, love that, you know, this idea of the Dawi 20 stack. Like, it's really, really cool using some of the the less expensive Dawi units in these bolt throwers, and they did a pretty good job in that fight. 35 and 44 kills, and the cheapest unit for the range, 49.73 for these rangers, just excellent. And these miners, 40 and 39, that is crazy good, but they must have been, fighting up against some weaker units, probably against these men-at-arms at some point, and but they were just helping in the line. These are not bad numbers for these miners. Now, miners aren't the greatest, but they tar pitted, they did their job, and we got 20 with the Rune Lord, 5 with the Rune Smith, and 14 with the Rune Smith. Those would have all been Runes of Wrath and Rune, and their Master Rune of Wrath and Rune, because these guys didn't get involved in the fighting too much. There really was that second line, didn't even need to use the Slayers. Now, the Slayers took a few hits, some early archer fire, but didn't even really need to use them. These Uthar's Raiders, now, they only got 6 kills, but really you saw in the beginning of the battle how fast they damaged the Fey Enchantress. Like, these guys are really good, but you got to protect them. They are very, very vulnerable. 33 and 31 with the gyrocopters. They did a great job. They didn't get a lot of pressure put on them, and they just went to town. 103 and 103 with the Longbeards with great weapons. Only 29 with our Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, but very, very nice. I love this idea of the 20 stack. It's really fun to watch, and I've made now a few 20 stacks I want to try out, if I can ever find some time. And for Nirvana's army, you had the Fey Enchantress, and she is the meta pick. I don't know if I would have taken the Dwellers Below and the Chalice of Potions, but it is what it is. These Paladins did okay, 43 and 16. They had lots of health left, but they just lost their leadership. I know generally you often see the Grail Reliquary. Men-at-Arms again, 8 and 1. Could have brought Peasants to do the same job these guys did, I think, or something else. And the main line of Foot Squires, that's what you got to expect as the Dawi when you're facing up Bretonnia. You're going to see Foot Squires. They are their only armor-piercing option for the infantry with the infantry bonus. And the Peasant Bowmen, I don't understand the choice of the fire, but the Peasant Bowmen with poison are very, very good. Like, I think that's the right choice for the Bretonnian army. And perhaps Nirvana was new to multiplayer too. That you never can tell, or just trying something different, or just like the way the fire arrows look too. And here's the big story of this battle: is 0 and 0 with these questing knights. They're a big investment. Questing knights are strong against infantry, and had he been able to get them in, like, they could have routed miners in one charge and 20 seconds of fighting. Something like that. Like, they're a really good unit for on the charge, and they could have done a ton of damage to that back line. Of course, you had to watch out for the Slayers, but that's the whole purpose. Muck them up with the miners, get the Slayers in, but still 0 and 0 is a huge accomplishment. Very, very nice focus fire by Brachysira. And again, these Wardens of Montfort and the Mounted Yeoman Archers, only 3 kills and 2 kills, and I think those were mostly against Slayers. But still, four units with 5 kills, and 4 important units, kind of like your fast skirmishers and your heavy hitters. Very, very good job taking care of them. That really demonstrated the focus fire, and you could see by their, Brachysira just went one by one by one. Went after this questing knight, then this questing knight, then the Wardens of Montfort, then the Mounted Yeoman Archers, and then kind of focused down the Peasant Bowmen, and just held that front line. And that's where these better units, the Longbeards and the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass with their leadership, make a real difference, and then just started throwing miners into that front line to keep it strong so he could keep his Rangers and back line units online. Didn't even have to use a Slayer. So fun battle. Hope you liked it, and hope you like this idea of the 20 stack. I know I have a couple. I have like 3 20 stacks built. I really want to try. I just haven't had time to get on and do some fights with everything going on, but I hope you like this battle. Love to hear from you in the comments, especially if you've tried a 20 stack or you have ideas for a Dwarven 20 stack. I'd love to hear it in the comments. And with that said, I will see you soon.